hellish deep space mining rigs, fantasy worlds populated by godlike shapeshifters, literally just a tiny cat. These are all things you can enjoy as a connoisseur of single-player games. Free from the distraction of hectic multiplayer or shouting at pals in local co-op, these are stories designed for the lone wolf who wants a narrative immersion, a grand adventure, who will happily shut the curtains and lock their door to be transported somewhere else for hours on end. These are our top 10 single-player story games on PS5. As with all our PS5 top 10 lists, every entry has a native PS5 release, so they show up on the store on your PS5 as their own distinct version. That means no backwards compatibility picks on PS4 have made the cut. If you're hungry for more single-player goodness, do check out our video on the top 10 best single-player stories on PlayStation 4, and share your own recommendations in the comments. Right, now, just for a sprinkle of irony, Rob and I will be voicing this together. Just think of it like FemShep and MaleShep to preserve the solo player vibes. Calling Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart a single-player game feels misleading, as it just feels like playing with a whole bunch of your pals, especially when you throw the titular pair's dimensional counterparts into the mix. After an accident with the Dimensionator, a device that opens portals between worlds, time and space is being torn apart at the seams, with entrances to parallel universes opening up at random, where one dimension sees Ratchet & Clank constantly winning against the bumbling Dr. Nefarious, another sees plucky Lombax Rivet and little robot companion Kit constantly losing against the dastardly Emperor Nefarious. And this far more capable evil has set his sights on ruling more than just his own dimension. With all the classic joy of Ratchet & Clank games, think weapons that turn your enemies into shrubs, ultra-satisfying bulk collecting, wacky allies to collect from across the galaxy, combined with whip-fast reality hopping, and you get one of the finest adventures in the galaxy.
Next up is the newest face on our list, and what a face! The snarling, scarred, battle-hardened mug of Clive Rosfield, star of Final Fantasy XVI. He is the heir to House Rosfield, the first shield of Rosaria, son to a murdered father, protector to a murdered brother, and he will have his vengeance in this life or the next. Sorry, I slipped into epic mode there. Final Fantasy XVI has that effect on me. There's never been a Final Fantasy quite like this, ditching polite turn-taking and stat twiddling for rampaging third-person combat, a kind of Devil May Clive, if you will, and a story that ladles on enough blood and bad language to make Game of Thrones look like Sesame Street. Unpicking a tangle of warring nations is one of Final Fantasy XVI's great pleasures, made all the more enjoyable with inbuilt Wikipedia that lets you luxuriate in the nerdy minutiae. But if that sounds too bookish, Final Fantasy XVI somehow also manages to be about transforming into towering icons, summons by another name, and indulging in landscape-leveling smackdowns that it can scale from serene chocobo expeditions to punching holes through gods the size of mountains means no 2 hours of 16 are ever quite the same, and the allure of what happens next never wanes. Honestly, I'd like to be playing it right now, and am frankly furious that I'm recording this VO instead.
Is there a more badass concept than giant mechanical beasts made out of guns and saws roaming a far future Earth? This Mechagodzilla dream of a world is Horizon Forbidden West, which pushes science fiction to its limits in a dazzling sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. Forbidden West takes Aloy to the far reaches of the land, where she's hell-bent on saving the Earth, yet again, from a blight that threatens to wipe out life as she knows it. And despite how impossible that sounds, it is nothing compared to the truth that lurks at the edges of this twisting bioorganic tale. Let's be real here, being able to climb any surface you lay your focused infused eyes on, hundreds of hours of side quests and activities, deep lore, larger-than-life characters, and traversal opportunities that see you on the back of freaking robot dinosaurs make this a solo player's dream. Of course, it's arguably the most beautiful game out there as well. Who says you can't have it all, eh?
Next up, God of War Ragnarok, which continues the miraculous transformation of Kratos from PS2 rage monster to one of the most sophisticated character studies in any game. After shocking revelations at the end of 2018's God of War, Kratos is living in tentative unease with his son Atreus, a fragile peace broken when Odin and Thor decide to pay a visit. To say any more would spoil the shocking twists and turns, but I will say the setup promises God-on-God smackdowns and you are not shortchanged. Kratos is striving to be a changed man, but when push comes to shove, you've never seen someone shove back like this. But this isn't just a tale of big angry men doing big angry things to each other. It's an eye-popping voyage through the 9 realms. It's a tale of found family filled with joyous camaraderie, and it's a continued study of grief and the forgiveness needed to break cycles of vengeance. Okay, it's also about pulping your enemies and performing finishes so messy that I'm still wincing about them now, but that it slips so easily from chopping monsters in half to cleaving your heart in two is one of the great artistic achievements on PS5. Also, it has some enormous dogs to pet. Yeah, thought that would convince you.
I know. I missed you too.
Is there any real-life creature that is more single-player minded than a cat? Whether it's curling up on whatever makeshift bed becomes available, or pushing precariously placed items off of ledges for entertainment. These furry little guys are all about playing by their own rules and throwing up on stuff. So it makes perfect sense that Stray captures all of that curious, impulsive energy in your adventures as a little lost cat in a sprawling walled city. Sans the sick. Armed with your PAL B12, a tiny drone that can communicate with the local androids on your behalf, climbing skills that would make Nathan Drake blush, and a purpose-built meow button, you're set to find your way out of the slums you've fallen into. Whilst there's undeniable joy to be found in playing as a cat, Stray is much more than simply a cat game, mixing loads of emotional storytelling in with its charming premise as you discover what's happened to life on an Earth devoid of humans. And it is far more complicated than there being no flesh bags to serve up the cat bickies, let me tell ya.
The Last of Us Part 1 has the rare honour of being the only game on this list that also appears on our best single-player story games on PS3 list and the PS4 list. This, of course, tells the tale of Joel, the world-weary smuggler, and Ellie, his incredibly precious cargo. What hasn't been said about The Last of Us? It's a peerless collision of survival horror thrills, reclaimed world beauty, and the kind of monster design that means you'll never look at a fungal foot infection the same way again. Blend in a nuanced character study of two outcasts bonding in the unlikeliest of circumstances, and it's guaranteed to have you honking gooey snot tears into your handkerchief. If you haven't already used it to craft a Molotov cocktail, that is. If you have played it before, Naughty Dog's stunning visual overhaul has you drawing up a mental tick list of all the highlights you want to see anew. The smash and grab shock of the opening, the ivy-entwined cities, Ellie's wintertime showcase, the tiny pockets of happiness in the Left Behind DLC, and yes, of course, the giraffes.
Go on.
Hey there.
God, check out that PS5 neck tech. Sublime! And if you haven't played it, and somehow avoided the ginormous TV show, you're probably thinking, hey, giraffes? Game arcades? Horseback rides? What can I say? The Last of Us Part 1 contains multitudes and remains a true essential 10 years after its original release.
Whilst it's true you can pick up any of the Resident Evil remakes and have an absolute blast, it is Resident Evil 4 that feels truly explosive.
Heads up next time. You handle yourself pretty well.
Following Leon S. Kennedy as he travels to a remote European village to rescue the president's daughter Ashley, all the black magic that made the first release a game changer shines through the power of the RE engine, like dynamic, aggressive combat, an over-the-shoulder camera perspective, and cinematic storytelling that makes for spectacular horror sequences. And yes, I am counting the runaway minecart as a horror sequence, because health and safety is the scariest villain of them all. This is more than just a thrill ride for scares though. Resident Evil 4 is a powerhouse of action and arcade fun, perfectly balancing the survival and horror on the edge of a chainsaw blade. I mean, is anything quite as fun as unlocking the unlimited rocket launcher in a Resi game and setting out on a mission to wipe out anything that dared jump scare you the first time around? If there is, I have yet to experience it.
Are you even feeling this?
The great thing about our next game, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, is that it picks up years after the first, Jedi Fallen Order, meaning it can instantly plop you into the sandals, or whatever it is Cal Kestis wears, of a true Jedi Master. If the first game was Cal's gradual awakening, this is him off the leash. You're dicing stormtroopers like a neon food blender, baffling monsters with mind tricks, and leaving scuff marks all over the Empire's polished walls with outlandish acrobatics. And you're doing it in a bigger playpen, the semi-open world of Kobo, which hides a mystery dating back to the High Republic and twisty level design that sees the map gradually blossom as you learn to commandeer its wildlife or master even springier Jedi tricks. But what really got us in its force grip is the story, as an older, more isolated Cal rebuilds his fractured family by pairing you up with sparky mercenary Bode Akuna and everyone's favourite Dathomirian Night Sister Merrin. There are stretches of Jedi Survivor that play like classic Uncharted romps. Hunting down ATSTs and exploring ancient tombs with Merrin in the desert is one of our gaming highlights of the year so far. I'd say the Force is strong in this one, but the Star Wars cliché police would come and throw me in space jail. Just play it, okay?
No genre better showcases the power of single-player gaming than horror, and no horror game is more famed for its ability to scare than Dead Space. Now polished up to a shiny titanium finish with 2023's remake, this sci-fi anxiety attack has more atmosphere than you can shake a severed necromorph claw at, yet couples with a story so compelling you'll happily subject yourself to whatever nightmarish encounters come your way. This game is iconic for a reason. Playing as engineer Isaac Clarke, it is up to you to investigate and escape the USG Ishimura in the wake of a necromorph outbreak that has transformed the crew into violent monsters. Fans of the original will recognise the iconic beats of Dead Space, but with the addition of power rerouting, a fully voiced Isaac, and security clearance that allows you to explore the furthest reaches of the Planet Cracker ship you're trapped on, there's a whole new experience to draw out of the shadows, whether you're a first-time trainee or a veteran engineer. In either case, it is important to pace yourself. Remember to take it one limb at a time.
At the time of writing, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection is included in the PlayStation Plus Extra Game Catalogue, which is a frankly massive dose of single-player story goodness behind a click of a download button. Gathering together Uncharted 4: A Thief's End and Uncharted The Lost Legacy, that's 31 chapters of jeep chases, collapsing towers, elephant rides, sparkling lagoons, gloopy mudslides, and a tiny bit of Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, that poor fox. Bandicoot.
That's the adventurer's lot though, isn't it? Globe-trotting between archaeological finds, drinking in Naughty Dog's best-in-class environmental art before smashing it all to smithereens in punchy Indiana Jones-style brawls or explosive set-pieces that leave you gripping your pad, white-knuckled and in slight disbelief at what you've just witnessed. It's a romp that slipped down easily first time and now flows even more smoothly on PS5 with faster loading times, a slicker frame rate and that muscular sound mix being pumped through 3D audio.
Keep edge walking on it! Don't let him get in front of you!
Yes, it's hardly a shocking headline to proclaim these Uncharted games are a bit good, but they've never been better than they are here.
We're good. Everything's good. Jesus Christ.
And there you have it. Those are our 10 picks for single-player story games on PS5, though it is by no means exhaustive. The PS5 is groaning with solo spectacle. I, for one, am desperate to hear your suggestions in the comments below, and please do give the video a like. If not for me, do it for the cat from Stray. And while you're here, why not check out our other PS5 top 10 lists? Whatever your genre, we've got you covered. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.